about it. Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another live stream and welcome to the home of the world champions. Hope everybody is having a good Friday so far. Big up to all of you that are locked in already. As always, make sure you smash up the like button, subscribe if you are new around here, and as always, get involved in the chat. We have got a packed show, people. When is it any ever different when it comes to Chelsea on the transfer market? We have got the latest on the pursuit of Jorrel Hato, with Chelsea reportedly having a first bid rejected for the left back, and Ajax have apparently come back with a counter offer. We're going to dive into that. All the latest on Xavi Simons. Chelsea reportedly pushing hard to get this deal done. We've also got news on a rogue bid, apparently, according to reports in Italy, for Kenan Yildiz. Hasn't been verified by anyone else, but apparently Chelsea have made an offer for Kenan Yildiz, according to reports in Italy. We'll dive into that. All the latest on Alexander Isak, with a lot of people, including myself, getting a little bit giddy, a little bit excited. Chelsea reportedly not working on a deal for Isak as things stand. And we have also got loads of other stuff. Fulham interest in Raheem Sterling. Benfica stepping up their pursuit of João Felix. There's loads to dive into, chat. But first things first, as always, just a quick reminder in case anyone is new around here. Make sure you check out Jersey's FC Soccer Shop. Link is in the description. Use code BLUEBROTHER for 20% off. Make sure you're looking fresh for the upcoming season in the new Chelsea home or away kit, or even third kit. Names, numbers, patches, whatever you want on the back. Great quality, affordable prices. Make sure you check it out. Link is in the description. Jersey's FC Soccer Shop. Use code BLUEBROTHER for 20% off. That's enough about that. Let's say hello to some of you people in the chat, and then we're going to get this show on the road, people. Simons links quiet. No, it's not quiet. You know, the deal is doing its thing. We need to we're going to get rid of Sterling. Do you know if we're going to put? Yeah, of course we're going to put another offer in for Hato. Absolutely. Players returning August 4th. What's that? Trafford to City. Yes. Yeah, all good, brother. Hope you're well. We are finished. Bayern, relax. Come and find Nkunku, not Diaz. Fair enough, brother. Fair enough. Well, I mean, they might have done at some point. But again, I've not really seen anything suggesting that. A lot of teams were interested in Andre Santos earlier in the summer. But yeah, you know, right now it's pretty obvious that he's staying at Chelsea and he's a big part of the plans. Nah, bro, definitely not. Simons, I would say that I'm 95% certain that Xavi Simons will be a Chelsea player. I think I'm 95% certain that will be the case. Yes, big up, big up. Well, I mean, look, Isak's not gone to Liverpool yet. But look, I think you've got to be honest, right? Yes, obviously, if you compared it like that, sure. But we're going down a route where we're looking to get 3, 4, 5, 6 players scoring 10 plus goals each, rather than having one player you rely on for your goals. Now, I know obviously Liverpool got other players who can chip in and whatnot, but I understand that point of view. But I also think, you know, there's more to football than just big names on a pitch at centre forward. Bro, there's not a lack of tickets. There's the same amount of tickets as there always is. It's just the demand is outgrown the size of the stadium. And as always, with all tickets, there's always going to be bots buying loads of them up. That's the reality of the situation. So there's not a lack of tickets in terms of the same tickets are there as always. It's just obviously there's a far bigger demand now, and bots are just getting hold of loads of them. Bro, we need to chill out. There's still 5-6 weeks of the window left. 5 or 6 weeks of the window left here. You know, there's plenty of time. Bro, João Pedro is going to be very, very good for us. Not sure. We're going to dive into that. Well, yeah. obviously, if Chelsea did go for Isak, which we'll get onto shortly, we're not. But if we were to, it would obviously be a replacement for Nicholas Jackson. You'd have Delap and Isak as the striker options. Maybe you'd Pedro as a 10/left wing option, and maybe you would can the Xavi Simons deal. I don't really know, but considering we've already bought 2 strikers in, the Isak thing sort of throws a bit of a spanner in the works, and one we're not going to be going for. But yeah, anyway, let's dive into it. Let's start with the Jerel Hato stuff then, because we know that personal terms have been agreed. Hato was left out of the Ajax squad for their Como Cup game, little pre-season tournament in Italy against Celtic last night. Left out of the squad due to the negotiations with Chelsea. And ESPN in Holland are reporting that Ajax have rejected Chelsea's first official offer for Hato. They have sent a counter offer back. Ajax wants to keep Hato, but are also considering his desire to leave. And this is what we need. And this is what we need to. This is what we need to mention as well. By the way, yes, of course, clubs want to keep their players. We know this. However, when a player's indicated that they clearly want to leave the club, 9 times out of 10, it ends up with one outcome. They leave the club. Clubs are in a very, very difficult position to keep players that don't want to be there. You know, it's a very, very difficult task. Now, again, I've said with this Jorrel Hato stuff, I've said it with Xavi Simons, which we'll come on to. I'm confident that both these players will be Chelsea players in the next week or so. I don't think there's anything to worry about in that regard. I don't think there's anything to worry about, chat. Let's just read this anyway. Ajax rejected Chelsea's first official offer for Jerel Hato. They've sent a counter offer back to London. Ajax wants to keep the 19-year-old, but are considering his desire to leave. Hato reportedly already has a personal agreement with Chelsea after the club approached Ajax with a serious offer. Ajax management, therefore, doesn't want to let him go without a fight. The versatile defender has been on the Premier League club's wish list for some time. Last summer, there were tentative inquiries. Chelsea decided against making any move. Now the game is on. Now it's game on. Hato's contract with Ajax runs until mid-2028. Yeah, there's no information on what the bid was. And Heitinga said after the match, yeah, he's still an Ajax player. He doesn't know if he'll play on Sunday against Como. Yeah, still an Ajax player at the moment. So that's basically it. So according to ESPN in Holland, Chelsea have made an offer. Ajax have sent a counter offer back. There's no details of what that counter offer is. Chelsea want to do a deal for around £34 million. So yeah. Not necessarily, no. Not necessarily. You know, Ornstein certainly wouldn't really do that. But yeah, look. So, by the way, Ornstein and Fabrizio don't always get to everything first. You know, sometimes these regional outlets and whatnot are very good with certain things. Sometimes the regional outlets are very good with certain things. So yeah, an offer probably has gone in for Jerel Hato, and the first offer probably has been knocked back. I don't think that's a ridiculous thing to presume. So yeah, that's where we are with Simons. Chelsea are working hard on it. Simons wants to move. He's told Ajax he wants to leave. Personal terms have been agreed. And now it's just a case of agreeing a fee with Ajax, which I don't think will take too long, but it could be a few days. And yes, we're impatient, and yes, we want deals. Yes, we want deals done, but people need to understand that when there's a lot of money involved, we're talking tens of millions of pounds here. You know, there's a lot of things that need sorting out and agreeing upon within a deal, within a contract. So yeah, this is where we're at with said situation. Yeah, look, Ornstein's great, by the way. Love Ornstein, one of the best going. But yeah, he, and that's his style, and that's absolutely fine. But he will generally only post when a deal is done, virtually done, or it's a big piece of news, like someone telling the club that they want to leave. You know, that's how he operates, and that's fine. Yeah, bro, they'll both be in before then. If they're not in, I'd be very surprised if they weren't in the next 2 weeks. Chelsea are due back on the 4th of August, training at Cobham. I'd be very, very surprised if both these guys weren't in by the 4th of August. I'd be very surprised. I think it's a guarantee. So yeah, there's nothing to worry about, chat. There's nothing to worry about, in my opinion, in regards to Jerel Hato. This will get done. At this stage, there's been no mention of any other clubs coming in for Jerel Hato. There's no mention of anyone else being interested in the Dutchman to the extent that we are. So I think that, yeah, I think we're in a pretty good situation. I think we're in a pretty good situation. We've spoken about the profile of the player. We've spoken about how good a fit he'd be for Chelsea. He's got those leadership qualities already, despite being at such a young age. Great 1v1 defender, can invert into the midfield, comfortable on the ball. He's quick. All these things are really important. You know, really important. I don't really know. I mean, I thought we'd get a here we go for at least one of them this week. I'm starting to doubt whether that is actually going to be the case. I'm starting to doubt if that's going to be the case. I don't think we are going to get a here we go. This is the thing that you just don't know. You just don't know. I just don't know, chap. And that's the reality here. Jackson is worth at least 70 million in the current market. Yeah, no, he is, and absolutely right. And Chelsea's valuation is, 80 to 100 million pounds. No one is going to pay that valuation. And as I've said with Nico Jackson, I've always maintained this throughout the summer. The only way Jackson leaves is if he wants to, is if he communicates his desire to leave the club. Then they will seek to find a solution. Until then, it's just all noise, basically. Until then, it's all noise. And potentially interested clubs, your Uniteds, your Villas and whatnot, they know that they aren't going to be meeting Jackson's asking price. They know that, chat. They know that. So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at with that one. Look, within the next week, I would say, within the next week, it's very hard to predict with these things, but I would say in the next week or so. But sometimes these negotiations, particularly on things like price and all these details, that can take a little bit of time, chat. That can absolutely take a bit of time. No two ways about it. That can take time. Yeah, I think that's a fair. I think that's a fair estimation to make. That by the time we return to training on August 4th, both those players will be reporting for training. Look, Bayern can try, but Simons is pretty much as good as given his word to Chelsea. He wants to join Chelsea, and Bayern can try as hard as they like. But I think that's, I personally feel it's pretty, Simons is pretty much a done deal, in my opinion. In my opinion, I would say that. I like Simons, but prefer Yildiz. We're not going to get Yildiz. Yeah, possibly. I mean, I would have thought it would have been the other way around, but then this Hato deal just gathered some momentum real quick. Literally this week, over the last few days, gathered some serious momentum. Yes, big up to Steve. Guys, smash up the likes. What are we on likes-wise? 46. We're 158 in the building. Chat. That's some really poor conversion rate. That's looking at Dominic Solanke, Rasmus Højlund conversion rate on the likes. Let's smash up the like button. Yeah, get this up to 100 likes ASAP, people. Run up the likes and subscribe if you're new. I don't think Bayern have the funds. Bro, Bayern have got the funds. You know, they're looking at Luis Diaz as well. Bayern have got money. I'm worried about clubs coming in for Hato. More but worried about clubs coming in for Hato than Simons. A lot of top clubs need a starting left back and backup. Bro, I'll be real. Look, never say never in football. You can never rule anything out. But in my opinion, the reality here is I personally feel that both these players have given their word to joining Chelsea. And that's kind of it, really. So, yeah, that's the latest on Hato. Apparently, first bid rejected. Ajax have sent back a counter offer. That's according to ESPN in the Netherlands. Chelsea working hard on the deal. Personal terms are agreed. So now it's just a case of how quickly conversations and negotiations between the two clubs proceed. That's all we're waiting for. Player side of things is all done, dusted, tied up. We're waiting for a club-to-club agreement between Ajax and Chelsea, and then we can proceed forward with the formalities of the deal. But let's move away from Jorrel Hato. Obviously, just briefly on that deal, Ajax also inquired about signing Ish Samuel-Smith as part of the deal potentially, or, you know, but one of them separate deals, but, you know, two transactions, but really it's part of the same deal sort of nonsense. Ish Samuel-Smith wants to join Strasbourg. He's made it clear his preference is to join Strasbourg. So, yeah, that's where we are at right now with that. Let's move on to, we're going to get, excuse me, chat. We're going to get to the Kenan Yildiz thing now, because this kind of rogue settings, this Kenan Yildiz thing was just appeared from nowhere. Just appeared from nowhere. I don't really know what was where this sort of appeared from, chat. It was a strange one, because yeah, Chelsea have been loosely linked with Kenan Yildiz, and we get a report from Gazzetta Italia last night saying Chelsea arrived in Italy in recent days for Kenan Yildiz. I mean, I've got no idea if that's true or not. Their move was substantial and concrete, at least 65 to 68 million. Juve listened to Chelsea, but the message was simple as clear. Yildiz is not for sale. I'll be honest, on a story like this, chat, if Chelsea genuinely sent a delegation to Italy to try and do a move for Kenan Yildiz, and an offer went in, you would be hearing about it. You would absolutely be hearing about it from multiple sources. This idea, chat, that we've just gone on and casually dropped a £65 million bid on Yildiz, and no one's picked it up other than just one report in Italy, is I'm calling BS. I'll be real. I'm calling BS on it. I'm not buying. I'm not buying this at all. That this has happened. I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but I'm not buying it that this shit has taken place. But let's read this anyway. Look, we know. Oh, why is this not working? Oh, I don't think I can even read this. I'm not a subscriber. Anyway, I suppose that's the gist of it there. So, yeah. Look, Kenan Yildiz, by the way, top player, really special talent. Juventus are building their team around him. There's been no indications that Yildiz wants to move on. So I just think this is some sort of fabricated story, maybe putting some sort of pressure on Chelsea to crack on with this Leipzig deal. I mean, I really don't know, in all honesty, chat. I really don't know. But literally, there's been nothing credible whatsoever in regards to Kenan Yildiz. Nothing credible. Nothing credible at all. So, yeah, okay, people can get giddy and people can get excited. Yes, Kenan Yildiz is a player that Chelsea have held interest in, that Chelsea have taken a look at. But there is a huge difference, by the way, between having an interest and looking at to actually formulating that interest and making an official offer. And I just feel a story like this has run away with the truth a little bit. There is probably an element of truth in there in terms of Chelsea absolutely are aware of Kenan Yildiz. Chelsea are admirers of Kenan Yildiz. But an offer of 65 million euros, a delegation sent out to Italy. For me personally, I don't buy that for 1 minute. I don't buy that for 1 minute because we would have absolutely heard about that. We would have 100% heard about that, chat. I think that's absolutely a fair thing to say. We would have heard about that. No, not necessarily. Look, Leipzig are interested in Chukwuemeka. Chukwuemeka's preference is to go and join Borussia Dortmund, although Dortmund can only afford a loan deal. Chelsea looking for a permanent sale. So, yeah, look, I don't think Chukwuemeka's holding things up. He's made his stance very clear of what his preference is this summer. But Leipzig are interested in 2 or 3 Chelsea players, apparently. But even then, though, like, we know Nkunku's going. Even if you sold Jackson, right? What sense does it make selling Jackson and replacing him with Kenan Yildiz when Kenan Yildiz is not a centre forward? That just doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. Are all these guys better than Nkunku? Yeah, in terms of for the system, yes, they probably are. They probably are. And Nkunku's going. Fabrizio's confirmed that we know this. Almost, his exact words, almost guaranteed that Nkunku will leave this summer. I think it's pretty obvious Nkunku will be leaving the football club this summer, chat. That's not some sort of secret. That's not some sort of, top insider information. It's obvious. Mr. Christopher Nkunku will be leaving Chelsea Football Club this summer. That's the reality. Yeah, we're still in talks. Yeah, that's it. The deal will get done. We're in negotiations with Ajax. Everything's wrapped up on the player side. They won't, but yeah. Bro, he is. In this team, that is what he is. Now, you can argue about whether you think he is or not. At Chelsea, he is viewed as a centre forward. So it doesn't make any sense to sell Nicholas Jackson and replace him with someone who isn't a centre forward. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, but bro, we're not getting Isak. Bro, that's utter bollocks. Not true at all. Enzo Fernandez is not giving any green light to anything. We're not doing pitbull green light out here. Enzo Fernandez is not going anywhere. He's not said yes to Real Madrid. Yes, we know about the Real Madrid interest in the player. Enzo Fernandez is Chelsea. He wants to remain at the football club. Enzo's not leaving this summer. Bro, Nkunku's done. If you think Nkunku's staying, that's fine, but he isn't. Nkunku's been done since January. Nkunku's been done since January. Bro, Arda Güler's a baller, by the way. But yeah, Lamine Yamal is the best player on the planet, probably. In current form, certainly at the back end of last season. Obviously, Ousmane Dembele is a top player as well. But yeah, Xavi's not playing midfield. He's 5'6", and bro, Xavi Simons is not lightweight, by the way. I think his physicality is massively overlooked because of his frame, but he's not lightweight. He isn't lightweight, chat. He's got great physicality, really good offensive and defensive work rate. We're not selling Enzo. Potentially, yes. Potentially, Leipzig might want Nkunku. But whether Nkunku is going to go back there, I don't think Leipzig have got Champions League football next season either. I don't think Leipzig have got Champions League football next season. So, yeah. I don't think they do. So yeah, Yildiz, like, people can say what they want about Yildiz, chat, and they can get all excited. I thought I'd cover it anyway because it's a story. And Chelsea have been loosely connected with Yildiz, but yeah, this Yildiz thing is nonsense, guys. Absolutely nonsense. So we'll move away from Kenan Yildiz. Bro, I at this point, I've got absolutely no idea who a Nicholas Jackson replacement would be. But I to be honest, though, I don't really think we need to be thinking about that, because the reality is, unless there's a big change of heart, Nico Jackson is not leaving Chelsea Football Club this summer. And that's the reality of the situation. Yeah, look, again, I'm just a fan, Yes, I follow things very closely, but I'm as clued up as you guys in terms of when we might get a here we go for these things. Yes, the deals are at advanced stages, but you've got no idea really how long these these deals are going to take, or what stage of the negotiations are at. Yeah, potentially. But again, at the current price, Aston Villa cannot afford Nico Jackson. At the current price, they cannot afford him. So yeah, that's where we're at with that one. Nico Jackson, at the current price for both Aston Villa and Manchester United, is out of reach price-wise. No, I don't get annoyed. It's just like people think we're genuinely getting Kenan Yildiz, and it's just like, guys, it's not happening. We aren't getting Kenan Yildiz. So the sooner we can get that in our minds that Kenan Yildiz is not happening, then the easier it's going to be for people. Guys, we're over 200 in the chat. Only 75 likes. Smash this up to 100 likes ASAP. Run it up. And keep subscribing to the channel if you're new around here as well, guys. Let's double these likes to 150. And we're on the road to 20,000 subscribers. On the road to 20,000. So yeah, every new subscriber really helps. Yes, he will still leave. I don't know where he's going to go, but he will still leave the football club, chat. He will still leave the football club. Anyway, moving away from that, let's just put this Alexander Isak shit to bed. Let's put this Alexander Isak stuff to bed. Chelsea not actively working on Alexander Isak deal and no interest in proceeding despite reports. Chelsea very happy with their strikers and fully focused on Xavi Simons and Jerel Hato deals now. The club working on Isak deal was, is, and remains Liverpool. Now, you can talk about whether Chelsea should be, for me, bro, we should be getting Xavi Simons. Not really anything. There is interest in Broja from certain clubs, but again, there's not been anything. Really to do. There's not been anything concrete in regards to Broja's future. There's been nothing really. There's been nothing at all. So yeah. Well, he was at Santos. Don't know where he is now. Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So yeah, look, Chelsea's name, of course, was mentioned in this Xavi Simons, not in the Xavi Simons, sorry, in this Isak thing, and Ben Jacobs adding as well that, and I think this is definitely true as well, by the way. Chelsea know their name is often used to drive up prices and refuse to be used as an auction tool for players they don't plan to bid for. No approach for Isak so far this summer. There's faith in Liam Delap, Joao Pedro, and Nicholas Jackson. Club are working on Xavi Simons and appreciate Alejandro Garnacho and Morgan Rogers. So, yes, Chelsea have had pre-existing interest in Isak. We know that we inquired last summer. We've gone down a different route with your Joao Pedros, with your Liam Delaps. Okay. And yeah, okay, things have changed a little bit, you know, with Isak becoming available. And, you know, you can argue, oh, yeah, and I understand both points of view. You could argue, well, if a player of that quality becomes available, then you've absolutely got to at least ask the question. But if you're looking at it from a squad building perspective and in terms of balance of a squad, the 140, 150 million quid it's going to cost you to get Alexander Isak, for the good of the squad, it actually makes more sense for Chelsea to buy Xavi Simons, Jerel Hato, and a goalkeeper with the money it would cost to buy Isak to complete the squad rather than buying Isak. Because, make no mistake about it, Alexander Isak is a top quality centre forward, one of the best in the world right now. But the way that I've seen some people going on about Isak, it's like he's prime R9. Great player. And if this had happened at the start of the transfer window, it's a totally different conversation and I'd be all in on it. But I think we are building a good squad. You know, we've got a good balance in the key positions right now. And if we got him, obviously I wouldn't be disappointed, but we then have to make some major readjustments. We'd have to make some big sales of players most of us probably wouldn't want to leave. And that's the reality of the situation, you know, is that yes, Isak would be great, but actually for the greater good of the squad and for Chelsea in general, that money is better spent on bringing in Hato, Simons, and a goalkeeper if we can. That makes far more sense, does it not? Makes far more sense. I don't really get how anyone can argue that. How can anyone argue that, chat? Like for me, that's just a non-negotiable fact. That money's better off spent on those players than it is on Alexander Isak. 100%. Bro, I don't know what reports you're reading, but there's no report. Why do Man City need Isak? Why would you sign Isak when you've got Haaland? Makes zero sense. We shouldn't pivot away from our plans. No, we shouldn't. If this was at the start of the window, as I said, totally different conversation. Isak's from my hometown, Stockholm. I even dated his sister 3 years ago. Fair enough. Saudi is not happening at all. No, I don't think it is. But in football, never say never. But yeah, I would say right now, look, Saudi will try, by the way. And they'll have no issues getting a bid accepted by Newcastle. It's about working on the player side of things. It's about working on the player side of things, chat. You know, that's what it's about right now. Yeah, exactly. Probably would, yes. Do you know what? The funny thing is that Madrid makes perfect sense in terms of Isak. You can move Kylian Mbappe to the left, you can play Vinicius on the right, and you can have Isak down the middle. That does make a lot of sense. That does make a lot of sense. 100%, bro. I agree. I don't really know, to be honest. Look, is anyone worth over £100 million? You know, it's hard to argue that many, if any, players are worth over 100 million. But when you're Alexander Isak, you know, you're one of the best centre forwards in the world, then it's in this market, it's probably fair. It's probably fair. Yeah, once again, Isak wants Liverpool. It's his priority as reported. No talks with Al Hilal, Chelsea, or United. There we go. Breaking the wage structure is a bad idea, no matter how good he is. We now have cohesion as a group, and this would ruin it if he comes in and breaks our structure. Yeah, potentially. I mean, I'm not sure how true that is. Again, it depends how much money you give him. It depends how long the contract is, and all these things. But let's be real. It's a done deal. We know at some point Alexander Isak will join Liverpool. Whether it's this summer or whether it's next summer, Alexander Isak will be a Liverpool player. This is not difficult to understand. Bro, they could pay £150. Real Madrid are not short of money. Real Madrid are not short of money whatsoever. Bro, I think we are. As things stand, it very much looks like that is how we will be starting the season. I know it's mental, but that's exactly what it's looking like. It's looking techie. We're going to be starting with Robert Sanchez as number 1. Mental. Not something I thought I'd be saying. But there's a lot of things I thought I wouldn't be saying this summer that I've ended up saying. So yeah, that's just kind of the way it goes. Unfortunately. That's kind of the way it goes, chat. Yeah. So I think we can put the Isak stuff to bed now. We'll get into that. Between the three of them, I think you've got to be looking at 30 goals minimum between the three. I'd say even 40. I think between Jackson, Delap, and Joao Pedro, all comps next season, there's got to be 40 goals between them. There has to be. There has to be 40 goals, in my opinion, between the three of them. I don't think that's outrageous at all. I don't know if Isak's a Liverpool fan or not. I mean, I haven't looked into that, chap. I don't know if Isak is a Liverpool fan or not. Not something I've looked into. But yeah, what I am looking at right now is 95 likes. Over 230 in the building. Smash the like button, people. Get these likes up. So let's move away from Isak then. We can tuck Alexander Isak and Chelsea rumours to bed. Tuck them in, chat. It's done. Finished. Not happening. So we can move away from that. You know, we need to move away from that. Well, we need to move away. Simple as that. Right, before we get on to outgoings, chat, there's a little update on Xavi Simons. Let's just get the latest on the Xavi Simons stuff, because I know people are interested in that. Xavi Simons' entourage have travelled to RB Leipzig's pre-season training camp as they look to push through a deal. They used to push through the Dutchman's switch to Chelsea. That's the situation there. And again, people getting worried about the Simons deal. Please don't be worried. Please don't be worried. Well, you'd be looking at, yeah, I don't know, maybe Diogo Costa. Do you go back in for, I don't know, do you go back in for a Mike Maignan? Do you try again? You know, these are all things that we need the answer to. And these are all things. And Simons and Hato want Chelsea. So I personally, chat, don't think there's any issue here. I don't think there's any issue in terms of, oh, will they or won't they join Chelsea? I think it's abundantly clear that these lot will be joining Chelsea. It's just a question of when rather than if. Now, Bayern are still trying. They've been making calls and whatnot. They are trying. But I think it's pretty clear Simons has made Chelsea his priority. He wants to move to the Premier League. And again, it's just a matter of when, in my opinion. I'd be very, very shocked if Xavi Simons was not a Chelsea player come the end of the window. It would be a big surprise. It really would be a big, big surprise, chat, if that didn't happen. Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty happy so far this summer with how things are going. Let's see what this article is saying, though. Xavi Simons' entourage have travelled to RB Leipzig's pre-season training camp as they look to push through the Dutchman's switch to Chelsea. The Blues have identified a 22-year-old attacking midfielder as a primary target, and they're looking to exploit their strong relations with his agent, Ali Barat, to get the exciting acquisition over the line. Chelsea are mindful that both Bayern Munich and Arsenal have also shown interest. However, there is confidence they already have the approval of the player after presenting their project. The Club World Cup winners have also started contact with Leipzig, who value Simons at around £60 million, and they're now waiting for Chelsea to present a formal bid. It's understood Simons' brother Faustino, who operates as one of the Holland International's advisors, has travelled to Leipzig's training camp in Germany alongside a representative from Barat's agency, Epic Sports, to accelerate the process. Simons has trained as normal with his teammates all week, but it remains to be seen if he'll be involved in Saturday's friendly against Toulouse. Discussions are also continuing with Ajax for Jorrel Hato. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, look, Leipzig, the big dogs have landed at the Leipzig training camp to try and push this deal through. Yeah. I'm not concerned. I'm not concerned, chat. I'm not concerned. Both these deals are going to happen. We have got nothing to worry about, chat, on this front. Both these deals are going to happen, in my opinion. Oh, 100%. And the signings this summer have been so much better already than the signings last summer. Last summer, it just felt like a bit scattergun. You know, that's the situation, chat. It felt a bit scattergun last summer. This now, I agree with this. This is definitely, if you're looking at the summer windows you've had under new ownership, at least in theory, let's see how it works out when the players are playing and whatnot. At least in theory, this is 100% the best window that we've had under this ownership. I don't think there's any doubt about it. I don't think there's any doubt about it whatsoever, chat, that this is one of the best windows we've had under this new ownership. Yeah, but Neto was the only decent signing last summer because Sancho wasn't great. Vega didn't work out. Joao Felix was a disaster. Dewsbury was a squad player. But do you know what I mean? Like, you go through the signings we made last summer, and really only 2 or 3 of those made useful contributions to the first team. When you compare it to this summer, you look at the business we're doing. We're addressing areas that need to be addressed. We're upgrading in important areas of the pitch. And it has to be viewed as markedly better than the previous summer. I'd give a good 7 or 8. A good 7 or 8. Yeah, this window makes sense as well. It makes sense. Yeah, exactly this. You know, Chelsea, and I've seen reports saying it, you know, Chelsea would have been happy to keep Vega if he wanted to play as a left-back. He doesn't want to play as a left-back. He wants to play as a centre-back. We cannot give Vega those guarantees. So therefore, he needs to be sold. Therefore, he needs to be sold. That's where we're at, chat. You know, that's it. That is literally it. Very simple. Bro, I don't agree. I honestly don't agree, brother. I don't see it. I really don't. I'd be very, very surprised if we even bothered trying, because the only way we try is if Jackson left. And I don't see Jackson leaving, and I certainly don't see us adding Yildiz to the mix with Jackson still here. You know, it just wouldn't make sense. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I personally feel like it could be one to watch for other teams in general, if that's what you mean. But in terms of Chelsea actually making a serious approach, for me, I don't see it happening. But if I'm wrong, then fair enough. I don't think he's improved that much, to be perfectly honest. I don't think he's improved that much. Yeah, I agree. If we'd got Manyan, you get Hato and Simons over the line, it's a sensational window. It's a sensational window. Yes, because they decided to sign David Hanko from Feyenoord instead because the package was cheaper. That's basically why. The package was cheaper. That's why. That's why they signed him instead, because it was cheaper. That's it. Yeah. Yeah, look, I still don't trust Sanchez either. I'm still not trusting Sanchez. If he proves us wrong, fair play. But I'm certainly not trusting Robert Sanchez at all, chap. I'm not on that. I'm not on that whatsoever. He needs to prove to me. Um, I don't know. I don't know. Why would it be a negotiation tactic for Simons, though? Because Simons wants to come and we're in talks with Leipzig. I don't know. Maybe you sort of try and make Leipzig think that, oh, well, if you don't agree, we're going to walk away and go and sign someone else. But they're still going to sell Simons anyway because someone else will just come and buy him. So from that point of view, that still doesn't really make an awful lot of sense either. Do you get what I'm saying, chap? That doesn't really make much sense either if that was being used as a tactic. You know, that was being used as a tactic. What's the what's the point? Last season was like letting a 5-year-old loose with unlimited funds in a toy store. This year feels like the kid is, yeah. It feels like there's more of a plan and more of a focus on what we actually want this season. That's what it feels like. Maybe, but I honestly don't envision a situation, chat, where we don't get him. I really don't. You never know, but I hate to say it, but I think that ship sailed. Maybe one more, but I think once Simons and Hato are in, I genuinely think other incomings will either be like guys for the future, basically players bought to be sold, or it'll be done on a one in, one out situation. That's what that's what I'm seeing personally, in my opinion. But yeah, let's move away from Xavi Simons. Yeah, as do I. Right, chat, I'm scrolling to the bottom. Yeah, guys, run the likes up. Are we nearly at 150? There's almost 300 in the building. 123 likes. Keep smashing the like button, chat. It's free. It takes seconds. Let's get this to 150 minimum. We should be pushing for 200 likes. The likes really help me out more than you could imagine. And please smash the subscribe button as well. That would be greatly, greatly appreciated. But yeah, get these likes up, people. Bro, I hope Chalobah doesn't get sold. I don't see it. I don't see it. No, we don't know because I'm not even including George in the plans for the first team. Simons, Gittins, Palmer, Jackson, Delap, Pedro, Neto, Esteval. Where's George playing? George is not playing, you know. Yeah, 100% they're still on. Absolutely, they're still on. But yeah, let's move away from Simons. The entourage is at Leipzig's training camp, looking to agree a deal. Yeah, I don't personally, for me, chat, I don't think there's anything to worry about with this deal. I don't think there's anything to worry about. These deals will get done. Let's focus on outgoings. And let's talk about Raheem Sterling, because there actually seems to be news surrounding Raheem Sterling, which is great news for us, chat. Because we thought this would be difficult. It's not done yet, but at least there is genuine interest in Raheem Sterling, which I never thought we'd be saying. But Fulham are considering an approach for Chelsea winger Raheem Sterling. Chelsea prefer a permanent exit, which would require Sterling to reduce his wage for Fulham to proceed. Sterling has also been offered to Napoli this week. I think Sterling is fully aware, or I'd like to think him and his reps are fully aware, that if he's going to get a permanent move anywhere, then he needs to leave. He needs to reduce his money because no one other than Saudi Arabia is paying the money. But there's interest from Juventus, there's interest from Fulham now, and there's interest from Napoli. So we've got Napoli and Fulham. Yeah, but Chelsea prefer a permanent sale. And I think I think Sterling's a reasonable guy. I genuinely think he will reduce his money. He has to. He simply has to. Chelsea want 20 million. If Sterling reduced his wages, I think for a club like Fulham, for example, that's a very, very... That's a decent transfer fee. And you know, you're going to be paying him not the biggest amount of money. But I do agree as well, chat, that we're going to be in a situation, and I think this happens every summer. People aren't going to show their hand on these players that Chelsea have got until later in the window. Because they know we want to sell these players, they know that. So they're just going to wait and wait and wait, knowing that the price will probably come down later in the window. And that's the disadvantage that you have when clubs know that you're looking to sell players. That they'll just wait till later in the window for the price to drop. That's the reality here. That's the reality here. I've got no issue with KDH staying. If Dewsbury Hall wants to stay, that's fine by me. Actually, over the last 6 months of the season, proved to be a really useful player for us. If he's content with the same role that he had last season, I've got no issue with him staying. He gives it 100%. Works hard every time he plays. Works hard during the week and whatnot. Never makes a fuss. I'm more than happy for this guy to stay. I'm more than happy for this guy to stay. And he's a really useful squad player. So unless he wants out, which I would also understand if he wants to go and play more regular football, he's not a bad squad player to have. And I think he's grateful to be at a club like Chelsea as well. I think he's absolutely grateful. When the Leverkusen interest was shut down, who was that shut down by? I can't remember who that was shut down by, but the Leverkusen interest was shut down. Was it Ben Jacobs? Was it Fabrizio? I don't know who it was. But I definitely saw somewhere that the Leverkusen interest had been shut down. Yeah, that's what I was seeing. You know, bro, he doesn't want Saudi. There was an approach from Saudi Arabia last summer. Sterling is not interested in going to Saudi. You know, that's it. Are you sure? Chelsea are absolutely not getting David Raya. No chance. Yeah, I have to agree that as things stand, I'm struggling to see how a permanent exit for Sterling's going to materialise. But I'm seeing much more chances of a permanent exit for Sterling materialise than I am for Ben Chilwell. There is literally nothing anywhere for Chilwell. Nothing anywhere. You know, it's mental. There's nothing for Chilwell. I mean, sure, later in the window, I think stuff will come. But right now, it's mad. So, yeah. Yeah, it can be. And this Sterling deal was obviously done before the whole wage structure thing came in. Tuchel desperately wanted him. Right, going to the bottom chat. I mean, there was. I mean, I saw some loose links with Leeds, but I think it was Football Insider, which is not a credible source under any circumstances whatsoever. So yeah, it's not looking great, chat. It's not looking great if we're being brutally honest on the situation. Yeah, Jesse Derry was signed yesterday as well. That's a good point. Let's quickly cover that. I mean, it's an interesting one. It is an interesting one. Let me just bring it up on screen now. So, Chelsea agreed deal to sign 18-year-old winger Jesse Derry from Crystal Palace, beating 8 European clubs for the England winger. Medical will take place on Friday as the teenage sensation looks set for a move to Germany before Chelsea hijacked the move. So, yeah, look, I've got no idea what the plan is. Jesse Derry is an England under-19 international, big talent at Crystal Palace. Surprisingly, didn't break into the first team squad at Palace. As I said, England under 19 international. Chelsea tried to sign him, I think, in February. There were reports of Chelsea trying to do a deal. And yeah, he's in. I've got absolutely no idea what the plan is for him because there's no way he's going into the first team squad next season. He's probably too good for under 21 football. I imagine Chelsea will sign him this summer. He'll go on loan next season somewhere. And this will very much be a player who is signed to then be flipped for profit in a few years' time. I'm going to make a prediction now. Derry will go on loan next season somewhere. The following season, 26-27, if he does well on loan this season, he will then go to Strasbourg maybe for 26, 27. And then maybe for 27, 28 season, if he does well on those 2 loans, there could be an opportunity for him at Chelsea. That's my prediction. Again, I don't know how much money the guy is going to cost. Absolutely no idea what the money side of this deal will be. Guys, 260 in the building still, only 143 likes. We've got to get this to 200 likes. So keep smashing that like button. It's free and it takes seconds to do. So run those likes up, chat. And keep subscribing as well. Is that true? Is that what happened, is it? Is that what happened? I'm not sure. He's getting loaned out. Kellyman 2.0. I've got no idea. Well, I don't think there's a nationality pre-requirement on a Strasbourg loan. Obviously, the Strasbourg loans are gone now. Bro, we're going to get Hato. We're going to get Hato. Let's just relax on that. Jerel Hato will be a Chelsea player. I'm not sure he will. I think he'll go out on loan. The secret scout and stuff, who's a great source, has been following, follows youth football and stuff. I mean, he didn't say he wasn't going to go out on loan. He wasn't going to play in the age group teams, but he said he's too good for that level. He said he's too good for that level. Deals in progress. Oh, it was a free, was he? So it'll be a compensation price. I didn't realise his contract had expired at Palace. Yep, in negotiations, deal will get done. I really wouldn't worry about Xavi Simons not joining Chelsea, chat. I really wouldn't worry about that. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, for sure. You've got 18 Jesse Derry that's come. You've got 18 Esteval, 20 Gittins, 18 Giovanni Quenda coming next season. The reality is that I don't like to say this, but we have to be real here. The chances of Jesse Derry making it at Chelsea are very, very slim. That's the reality. Very, very slim chances of him making it. Well, I don't think it will, to be honest, bro. I don't think it will, because Derry's not a signing for the first team. That's what we need to realise here. Derry's not a signing for the first team. I would say that Garnacho to Villa definitely looks more likely at this point. Definitely looks more likely. Predominantly right winger, but obviously can play on the left as well. I don't know a huge amount about him. What I might do is do a video with a Crystal Palace fan about Jesse Derry, just to find out a bit more information. For me, Simons, Morgan Rogers is just not going to be possible. Well, some outgoings are gathering pace. There seems to be more interest in Sterling. The Renato Vega thing, obviously, a slight issue that he's not gone to Atletico Madrid, but I think he'll end up going somewhere. Nothing with Chilwell, nothing with Broja. Nkunku's got interest from multiple clubs. And again, look, there's still 5 weeks, at least 5 weeks left of the window. I get it, people are impatient. I get it, people are always in a rush for things to get done. But we really shouldn't be in a rush, chat. We really shouldn't be in a rush. Yeah, I will be there. I'll be there some way, somehow. Wasn't able to get a ticket through the Chelsea website, shambolic system. But yeah, I will make sure that I'm there. I'll make sure that I'm there. I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't see it. It's a good question. It's a good question, that. I'm not really sure. I'm really unsure. I'm really unsure. But anyway, let's move away from the Jesse Derry stuff. And let's talk about Josh Achimpong, because again, he's being linked with a move away. This time, Bournemouth interested in signing Achimpong. There were links with a loan move to Crystal Palace. And look, Achimpong, by the way, supremely talented. I'm a big fan of his. The reality is the guy is not getting a look in. He's not getting a look in. He should be playing more than he is. But the problem is that obviously he's behind Reece James and he's behind Malo Gusto, whether people like it, whether people agree with it or not. And then the minutes simply are not there at centre-back for him either. The minutes are not there at centre-back. So it becomes problematic, chat. It becomes very problematic. And so, yeah. I mean, look, I've said it and I've maintained the same thing with Tyreek George as well. I wouldn't be surprised if either of these players were sold this summer. Loans are probably more likely. But as good as people think these guys are, I'll be real. I don't see, this is my opinion. And if my opinion's wrong and I'm proven otherwise, fantastic. But the reality is, I personally do not see how Tyreek George and Josh Achimpong are going to have a future at Chelsea. I don't see it, chat. I don't see it. You can call me negative. You can call me whatever you want to say. I don't see it. I do not see this happening. Very, very simple, chat. I don't see it happening. I just don't see it. I just think there's too much competition, and ultimately, these guys aren't quite better. They're not better than what we've got, or they're not better than you. That's what that's what I'm saying, chat. That is what I am saying. I just don't know if he does. Where's the future, bro? That's what I'm trying to say. Josh definitely's got a Josh. If you had to say who's got more of a chance of making it at Chelsea out of Achimpong and Tyreek George, I'd obviously say Josh Achimpong. But yeah, look, he's ready, but he's not going to get. You look at how sparingly they featured at the Club World Cup. These guys just aren't part of the plans, chat. Well, not a big part of the plans. And we have to be honest about that. We have to be honest about that. We have to be honest about it. You know, that's the reality. Yeah, but bro, the chances of both of them getting injured, I don't think you can make a case for keeping someone in case two players get injured. You know, Achimpong needs to be playing and needs to be playing regularly at this stage of his career in order to develop. Yeah, spoken about Yildiz. Look, we don't need another striker this season. If Jackson stays, there's no need for another striker. The only way we'll go for another striker, chat, is if Jackson leaves. That's it. But anyway, let's see what this article's saying about Bournemouth's interest. Among the alternative options for Zabarnyi if he goes to PSG is Chelsea's Josh Achimpong, but Chelsea are only entertaining loan offers as it stands. Although the 19-year-old continues to seek assurances over game time. Chelsea are not going to give Achimpong, in my opinion, the assurances that he's looking for over game time. Those assurances aren't coming, chat, because we can't offer those assurances. How are we going to offer those assurances? We just aren't. Bro, we're not selling Trev. So let's see what happens. Look, by the way, a loan deal to a Bournemouth or a Crystal Palace wouldn't be a bad thing at all. Really wouldn't be a bad thing, a loan deal to a Bournemouth or a Crystal Palace. Bro, Achimpong's not better than Chalobah. Let's not do this nonsense. Achimpong is not better than Chalobah. Regardless of what he is, he just needs to go and play. He just needs to go and play. He just needs to go and play. Regardless of what you think he is, the guy has got to go and play. Chat, keep smashing the like button. We're 164 likes, still over 220 in the building. Let's get this as close to 200 likes as we can, guys. that would be greatly appreciated. Get this as close to 200 likes as you can. Let's do it. Let's get it done. So yeah, so Bournemouth are interested. Bournemouth are interested. And for me, that's the sort of a move that makes sense. That's absolutely a move that makes sense. So we see. We see. Yeah, there's obviously interest from Dewsbury Hall from Fulham and Dewsbury Hall. Bro, Tosin won't get sold. Tosin will not get sold. I don't know if he will. I don't know if he will. Yes, there's always that risk and that worry, but the way that we've managed him, those issues seem to be behind him. They do seem to be behind him, chat. I think they could be. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Tosin doesn't get sold. There's Vega, Badiashile, and Disasi will all be sold before Tosin. All of them will. Yeah, well, yeah, Josh would go to Bournemouth and start. Josh would go to Bournemouth and start, chat. 100% he would. Yeah, he does. He does. And we've managed him so well. Maresca deserves huge credit for that. Really does deserve a lot of credit for that, Maresca, for the way that James has been managed. Definitely deserves a lot of credit. That's it. Yeah. And possibly Badiashile. Possibly Badiashile as well. Bro, Tosin's not bang average. Tosin for a squad player is decent. And he's done a very, very good job last season in the games that he's played. I've got no issue whatsoever with Tosin staying and being a squad player. No issue at all. And I don't think anyone should have any issue with Tosin remaining a squad player. I don't think anyone should have any issue with that whatsoever, chat. None at all. You know, and he's exactly, you know, as Bob said, he's an important player in the dressing room as well. You know, and these are things that often get overlooked, chat. These are things that often get overlooked. Look, Scalvini again, very exciting player. I've not really kept much track on his progress since the injury, but yeah, he's someone that's not on the radar. Let's have a look what else is going on, guys. Oh yeah, let's quickly cover the Joao Felix news as well, because there's been a bit of an update on Joao Felix. Again, This was from Fabrizio on one of his YouTube videos last night. Benfica are going big for Joao Felix and are in contact with Jorge Mendes to try and make it happen. They don't have crazy money, but they're really trying. Of course they don't have much. Of course they don't have much money. Of course they don't. So yeah, look, whatever it takes, get this done. Just get this done, whatever it takes, chat. Whatever it takes. We need to get this done. But again, we had the third best defensive record last season. So, bro, you've got to stop looking at football as just names. You know, with the third best defensive record last season, okay, our defensive unit works well. It does. The defensive unit works well. Only 2 teams had a better defensive record than us last season. Yeah, you can say, oh, Saliba is Van Dijk, Kanate, these guys are better players than what we have. Sure, okay, that's a fair point. But as a defensive unit, we were very good defensively last season. You know, we're better than Man City defensively, in my opinion. Yeah, okay, Arsenal and Liverpool were better than us defensively. But our defense is nowhere near as bad as what people make it out to be. People make out our defense to be absolutely horrendous. Yeah, you can always improve. But it's nowhere near as bad. Nowhere near as bad. Yes, we know that Sanchez needs to go and the goalkeeper needs to change. Bro, Colwell had a bit of a dip at one point in the season, but he's been fantastic, you know, at the end of the season and throughout the Club World Cup. Yeah, had a bit of a dip or whatever, but he's been great. It doesn't matter who's ultimately, we've got that record. And whoever people want to say it's down to, it's up to them. Yeah, look, I would agree that there's an interesting decision to be made here in terms of, do you trust Fofana for one more season and see if he can keep himself fit, or do you go out there and get someone else to come in and start alongside Colwell or start alongside Chalobah or whoever that player is going to be? Bro, he hasn't. He really hasn't. Bro, I agree. I think Hato will be that left back, centre back signing, and we won't get another centre back unless Chalobah were to leave, for example. Hato will be that signing, and then if Chalobah leaves, then I think we would go in for another centre back. But that's the only way I think that we would go in for someone else is if that happens. And I personally don't see that series of events happening. Bro, Colwell wasn't terrible in the final. Are you mad? I do wonder if people are watching a different game to me. But yeah, there are still a few decisions that do need to be made this summer. But I think once Hato and Simons have come in, there's not going to be too many more incomings. Possibly, yeah. Maybe not as much in the Premier League, but certainly, you know, in cup competitions and stuff. So yeah, I think so. Chat, we're 15 likes away from 200. Keep smashing the like button. Keep subscribing if you are new round here. It would be greatly appreciated. Road to 20k. We're not a million miles away now, chat. Not a million miles away. So let's keep smashing up the likes and keep subscribing. So we need a top goalkeeper, absolutely. The Fofana thing, I think we are going to give him, and we should give him one more chance this season to prove if he can stay fit or not. We have to. We have to give him one more chance. Bro, PSG barely had any chances in the game either. Barely had any chances. But yeah, it is what it is, chat. PSG barely had any chances. End of the day, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I'm not here to change people's opinions, but I will challenge people's opinions if I disagree with them. You know, just like people are free to challenge my opinions if they disagree. I'm not here to change anyone's mind. But yeah, that's the latest on the Felix thing. Let's have a quick look if there's any other news coming through, chat. If not, I will round this one out. What's being said? Don't think there is anything. Bro, we're not getting Yildiz. Bro, Sanchez needs to go because he has cost us so many points over a course of a season, and he made the most errors leading to goals in the Premier League. But yeah, anyway, look, chat, nothing else coming through. Big up to everyone who is locked in this afternoon. Appreciate the support as always. It's greatly appreciated, chat, and it doesn't go unnoticed. On your way out, please smash the like button. We're 10 shy of 200. Get this to 200 likes on the way out. Smash the like button, chat. Keep subscribing if you're new around here. I'll be back later if there's any major news. If not, I will see all you lot again tomorrow to cover all the latest Chelsea news. Smash the like, subscribe, enjoy the rest of your Friday afternoon. Up the Chelsea, and we're out. Peace.